I hate to interrupt, but we have only a small window of opportunity to get hold of Underdog One.
Oh, okay.
Only just this half hour.
You're kidding. We have a small window of opportunity.
Well, we don't want to miss out on that.
She's got a tight schedule.
I have her tape up there also.
Oh, good. You want to take a break first?
Yes.
All right. Let's take a break and we'll call Underdog Lady. Is that cool? Or are we going to run out of window of opportunity?
Well, no, we have. I have to call her first off the air.
All right. Because she was like, because Gary called her yesterday and said, "Hey, you want to come on the radio with us?" She'd been on the TV show, and she was like ranting and raving about me.
Really?
Yeah, I want to straighten that all out. She wants a serious interview. I said, "Okay, no problem."
Look, I have ground rules.
You have the ground rules?
Yeah.
What are they?
Well, she used, she talked about that. She talked about a lot of stuff, but she wants you to interview her as a serious person, and she wants you to suspend your modus operandi. Were her exact words.
Suspend my modus operandi?
Well,
Yes.
she is a crime fighter.
Right.
So she would use those police terms.
She said that, she said that she wanted me to let you know that that you're very evil, and that Jonah warned the wicked people of Nineveh, and they were spared, and she's warning you so that you can be spared as well. How the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, lost their whole families because they didn't listen. She said you were one of the worst of human vices. And she said that she cited precedent about you suspending your modus operandi, that there was a host in Philadelphia once who did a show as Dracula, but he had John Carradine on, and he didn't act like Dracula when he interviewed John Carradine. So she said
there was some kiddie show host who interviewed her who used to go on as Dracula, but he suspended his modus operandi for her.
No, for John Carradine.
Well, yeah, for John Carradine, right.
Okay, so here are the ground rules. Number one, you must ask simple, straightforward questions.
Okay.
Number two, don't intrude or ask leading questions or go off on a tangent. Number three, don't interrupt in mid-sentence. And number four, no R or X-rated antics. And then, but she did say finally, after I went through the whole thing with her, she talked about how she got some really bad feedback from her priest and others.
Oh.
And then she said she did, however, wonder why her priest was watching it.
Yeah, right. Gary said to her, well, she got a lot of bad feedback from the people at church. And then Gary says to her on the phone, well, then why are those people, how do they even see it?
Yeah.
If they're church-going people. She goes, well, that is true.
She said that Jackie and Fred must wise up or risk terrible punishment.
From Underdog?
Yeah, no, from upstairs, God.
Oh, from God.
And she said that Underdog was...
Hey, I've said the same thing. I can't argue with that.
She said that Underdog was made, the Underdog cartoon made Underdog look like a fool to children, and now you're carrying the torch by making Underdog look like a fool to adults.
Oh, I am?
Right.
Oh, okay.
But when we got through the whole thing, we got through the rules and regulations, she did say, I asked her if she would come on, and she said that, in a way, this was a real superhero drive, because there's a real need for decency. And she's going to punish the adversaries of Underdog and come on and go in this drive for decency against you.
Battle against me.
Yeah, she said you were...
You're an evildoer.
Yeah. I have all these notes here. She said you were sinister also. She wanted to know if you had any conscience. And she said that our show was a great example of parasiticalism.
Really? Well, we have to give her a call and straighten all this out. I'm sure it's a misunderstanding. We'll be back right after these words. Where's Gary? Does he want me to talk to Underdog Lady? Something going on there.
Baba Booey.
Haven't heard back from him. Yeah. What's going on with Underdog Lady?
She's just about ready. She just said that...
Was she getting into her costume?
She just said that that if you don't treat her the way that I said that you would, that you are worthy of 4 titles. Enticer, Parasite, Mental Polluter, and Provocator.
Provocator?
Provocator.
That's what she said?
Yes.
Can I talk to her now?
Yes, and she said that with Lent beginning, that this is a perfect time for you to make amends, and that if you ever want her on the TV show again, you have to treat her that way.
Oh.
I see.
You better be...
you better be nice.
Cognizant of that as you speak.
Hello? Wait a second. Suzanne?
Yes.
Hi, it's Howard. You're on the air.
Yes.
How you doing?
Just all right, I guess.
Gary tells me you're all upset. And Robin's here too, and Jackie and Fred. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what's the deal? I thought I was helping making you famous. Now I hear you're mad at me.
I think you're intelligent enough to know just where your methods do more harm than good. The most important thing is the exposure has not given me an influx of invitations or offers anywhere to come out and dance, whether it's as Underdog or just dancing in general. It has not improved my status or my career.
It will, though. It will. It will. You'll see. It doesn't happen like overnight.
You think it takes time?
It does. It takes like a few, you got to give it like a couple of weeks, and you'll see the offers will be pouring in.
I considered that, but being among other guests such as you've had, except maybe Gene Rayburn and J.P. Morgan, and especially the other questionable antics, which I either witnessed or have heard about from others.
Yeah.
No, let me finish.
Yeah.
People will remember only my being among, unsavory circumstances, and will consider me unworthy of future offers for performance.
Are you saying you're better than those other people?
No, I'm saying, and come on now, you know very well.
What's wrong with the other people who were on the show? Well, they were nice people.
The scantily dressed women and some of those panelists we had on the Hollywood Square spoof, the lesbians, the man, the silly man with the pots, and especially the Ku Klux Klan people, they exemplified the worst of human vices.
Well,
so for me to be among people like that will do more harm than good. That's another reason I say that being among people like that, or being made to interact with people like that, will not prompt
aren't they all
conventional people to give me offers, invitations to perform.
Aren't they all God's children, though?
What?
Aren't they all God's children? Shouldn't they have a right to... I mean, the guy with the pots has a goofy act, but, the underdog thing is an unusual act.
It doesn't have to be vulgarized among R or X-rated other examples.
I don't think banging your head with pots
is X-rated.
Is X-rated.
Sometimes you take things too seriously. That's the problem. You don't have fun.
When I was younger, I thought everything was just very nice until I would be force-fed other viewpoints, which forced me to realize that life is much more serious than people want it to be. I was always made to look for the worst.
Well, but you're taking life too seriously. Have some fun, underdog lady.
Who force-fed you?
Yeah, why are people force-feeding you stuff? You gotta have fun. You're not having enough fun.
I've had enough fun through, well, let's say,
have a good time
virtuous channels without being made to indulge in escapism and just general excessive fantasizing and well.
What is underdog lady though? That's underdog is escapism and fantasy. I'm telling you, you're taking it too seriously. That's what I wanted to call and tell you.
You put yourself out of a job with these.
Yeah, I mean,
I keep hearing this other woman. I can't understand what she's saying.
That's Robin. That's Robin. You know Robin from the show.
I remember Robin. She just didn't say right then and there who she was.
No, we identified her at the beginning.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that's Robin. And the point is that, underdog lady is a fun, kind of frivolous, wild character. You got to loosen up with it if you get.
Don't call me underdog lady. The only reason I can be called a lady is because I'm a female performer. Although underdog was male, I prefer not to be called underdog lady. Just if I'm to be addressed as the character I'm doing, it should be just simply underdog.
Okay,
and
underdog.
Remember, I listed precedents in which female performers portray males without being put down for it.
I wasn't putting you down.
In the case of Peter Pan, that standard musical, remember, Maude Adams, Mary Martin, Sandy Duncan, and Debbie Reynolds have all done it, and no one looked down upon them for it. They were
I don't look down upon you.
Actresses.
You don't think I look down upon you? I like you. I think you're funny. I think you're interesting.
It's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be cultural art, especially now. Consider how. Most recently, we had the Winter Olympics, and especially the figure skating. That's very theatrical. And those figure skaters didn't do anything silly. Maybe they intended to amuse the audience, but they certainly didn't deliberately go about it silly.
Yeah, but you're
serious music, and they especially were conscientious in their performances.
But you're in an underdog costume. It's kind of cute. It's cute. It's fun. It's like Halloween. It's fun to watch you. There's nothing wrong with having fun.
But he was fostered too much in terms of frivolity and silliness, and that's why I keep remembering nothing but only negative viewpoints from everybody who knew me. They said they said nothing positive about underdog, and
think about
it. Stop interrupting. And especially in terms, remember Adam West's Batman was very much the same way. It was more popular, but because of the excessive escapism and too much silly fun, there was there was negative feedback and the demand for either improvement, more seriousness, more dignity, or otherwise cancellation.
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, I find it interesting that all of your church friends saw you on my show, which proves to you that all of your so-called church-going types are busy watching the Howard Stern show. Think about it. So what kind of hypocrites are they? You know why? Because they're just having a good time. There's nothing wrong with the Howard Stern show. There's nothing wrong with appearing on it. There's nothing wrong with being underdog, and there's nothing wrong with appearing with wild people. It's fun. It's part of our society. It's culture.
She said that there were, she said she saw some unsavory things, and she had been reported to about some unsavory things. What unsavory things?
Yeah, what kind of unsavory things went on?
Well, particularly, the questions asked to the Hollywood Squares panelists, things that really that shouldn't be brought up in public, things about orgasm, drug abuse, lesbianism, the Ku Klux Klan, everything, and especially the questions you asked me about heterosexuality and did I exemplify every behavior of a conventional dog in terms of
yes.
Either eating or especially removal of impurities. That kind of stuff is totally inappropriate.
But we're interested in you. I wanted to know, I was reading a book that said that in the animal kingdom there is 10% homosexuality among dogs.
Well, that does not apply to underdog, and it certainly does not apply to the average cartoon animal character who, although he's animal in form, he acts infinitely more human. And I'm sure from the cartoon shows you looked at as a child, you must have found that to be true.
Yes, but the point was we weren't asking you about underdog. I was just asking you a dog question.
Well, the people who made up those questions should have had better sense to realize that I was more concerned about performing art impersonation and not about dogs per se.
Are you saying Deputy Dog wasn't gay?
Never mind that.
No, because Deputy Dog was.
Was he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, the cartoon was.
Yeah?
I mean, it was implied. Hello?
Uh-oh.
Wow. The cartoon was gay. What happened to Susan? I was doing so good with her.
She did mention to me last night that at any given moment, unlike the TV show, she could exercise her right to hang up.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel it's unfortunate. All her, you know what it is? She's a church-going lady, and all of her friends at church were coming up and going, "I can't believe what we saw on TV."
I can't believe you did that.
Right, right.
We watched every moment.
But you broke the rule because you were supposed to ask her, you were supposed to interview her.
Right.
And then you went off and started talking about, you were supposed to interview her about underdog and about what she does.
Yeah.
Not about homosexuals, and she,
Yeah.
Oh, well, call her back and tell her we didn't...
Tell her, you didn't really explain that to me,
right.
to be honest.
We didn't understand that rule.
Call her back and tell her, come on, tell her I made one mistake.
Yeah,
Tell her I didn't even understand the rules. Come on. Tell her to give me a break.
Ask her if she wouldn't go over the rules with you herself.
Yeah, tell her I didn't understand the rules. Could she go over them with me on the air? Okay, Gary?
Every time she answers the phone, I feel like she's going to cry when she first finds out it's us.
I know. Well, tell her.
It's very difficult to hear from us.
We like her. Tell her I like her.
Hi, Suzanne. It's Gary from Howard Stern's office. How are you? Yeah, I explained all the rules to Howard, except for I don't think he entirely understood the part where he wasn't supposed to go off into that one particular subject. But I thought up to that point...
Tell her I want to apologize.
He wants to apologize, and I thought up to that point he was doing a pretty good job, except for that one moment where he was really just sort of... Can he apologize to you? Can he apologize to you? I think he realized he went off that way.
I didn't realize. I want to go over the rules again.
It's difficult.
Very difficult. I'm trying to change my ways. Tell her.
In a live interview situation.
Yeah, it's difficult in a live interview situation.
I think he understands that. I wish you would tell him that as well, because I've told him that, but that's an opinion of yours I think he'd like to hear.
Let me talk to
Okay.
him. All right, there.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Here we go, round two. I will address you also as underdog, not underdog lady. This is Howard.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. I didn't know. Gary told me there were rules and started to explain them to me, but I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to go in that direction. It's hard for me, too. I'm trying to change.
Let me tell you this. I don't know what kind of religious upbringing you may have had, but you realize tomorrow is Ash Wednesday, so that's a good time now that Lent is beginning for you to consider cleaning up your act. When earlier you asked me how had you offended me, I quoted, I listed the things, that I had eyewitnessed. I listed what you did, and instead you chose to say that there was nothing wrong with them, or to bring up subjects that are inappropriately brought up on the air.
Well, let me just say, first of all, let me describe to the audience that this is, of course, the woman who portrays Underdog on the TV show, and who has graciously granted us an interview. While I was interviewing her earlier, I offended her, and I did not realize the rules. There are several rules when I address Underdog, and I did not know them.
Well,
and as far as my religious background goes, I am a firm believer in Lord Jesus Christ. And as for Lent, tomorrow is our Lent show.
That's right. We always observe Ash Wednesday.
We always put ashes on people. We, in fact, invite people up from the street to come, and I do put ashes on them.
It's not so much the ritual of getting ashes as the general principle of using the Lenten period as a time to think back upon your wrongdoings and make a firm resolution not to do them anymore.
Susan, you know what strikes me as peculiar? You're someone who has fun and portrays Underdog. And Underdog is a very fun character. You're very, very serious. You take life very seriously, and yet you've come up with this wild sort of fantasy character of Underdog. It just seems incongruous.
Because any character, fictional or not, will be analyzed for believability even though they are fictional. They're expected to set a good example for anybody who views them, hears them, or whoever comes upon them. And in Underdog's case, remember, he was marketed and fostered so undignifiedly that there were demands for improvement or cancellation. So when I came upon him and decided that I wanted to impersonate him, I said I had simply got to improve upon him to make him more respected. That's why he had to be serious.
Listen, just so I don't screw up this interview, would you tell me what it is, what the rules are that I'm supposed to adhere to? Is that okay to ask?
Well, considering how the Federal Communications Commission has looked down upon your inappropriate injections of either, excessive humor or straying off into subjects that offend people, that's what you have to avoid doing in the future.
I see. Well,
you think that should be a rule for his life, not just an interview with you?
Right.
For everybody, because I tried to say a moment earlier, I've been told that you had more serious performers as your guests in the past.
Don't you ever like to say dirty words, ever?
Certainly not, because they arouse the disapproval and,
but don't you ever
feeling among anybody else who hears them.
But sometimes when you're with your friends and you're kidding around, don't you ever like to say naughty words and do naughty, maybe have a drink or something, or go wild?
No.
Or when you're with a boyfriend or something like that, don't you guys like? No.
Because to do so shows a lack, shows that you're slipping back in terms of your intelligence, and it also proves that
you're a very educated woman.
Slipping.
You're a very educated woman. I can tell that. Have you had a lot of schooling?
Yes. Didn't you have the conventional
I'm interviewing you about your background.
Huh?
I'm interviewing you about your background. I'm saying you sound very educated. Highly educated. I mean,
that's why I have to be careful in what I do to avoid some procedures that were used.
But once in a while,
that led only to ruin in the long run.
Did you go to college?
What?
Did you go to college?
Yes.
Graduate school?
No.
And you just appear to be very, very bright, but it appears that you're having no fun. I mean, even like when I'm with my wife, right? Once in a while, we get a little wild. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, I thought there was nothing wrong with that, but then the people alongside said that it was inappropriate to, and then they spread the word. They gossiped about it among other people, so that my
Why do you worry?
To have fun the way you're thinking of it was ruled as wrong and inappropriate.
So why do you
that
care?
I was not.
Why don't you be like
never to do it again?
Why don't you be like me and not care what people say about you?
But who are these people?
Yeah, who are these
people alongside?
Notice all the people who thought you were inappropriate and were telling you at church you were inappropriate when you had evil behavior. Meanwhile, they watched the show.
I asked them why had they been watching it, and they said they had come across it by chance. They had been watching something else.
You really believe that?
Commercials came on, and then they came upon your show by chance.
And they stayed there because why?
Because I was there. They recognized me.
You believe that everyone in your church just happened upon the show?
Everybody who mentioned having seen it.
You watch television. Do you happen upon the shows on Channel 9 all the time? No. Don't you think it seems a coincidence that all of these so-called churchgoers who sit there in judgment of you have all of them happened upon the show? Don't you think that's peculiar? I think it's peculiar.
You're talking about only a small percentage of people. There are thousands of people who attend my particular church, and only a handful of them came forward and said that they had seen me.
Most of them watch the show, and there's nothing wrong with the show. I'm telling you.
Come on now, you're repeating yourself among
That's true.
ways that you're repeating yourself among channels that I had to cut short before because they're defamatory.
Am I in the wrong direction?
You're in the wrong market again.
All right. Well, I certainly don't want to inflame the situation. I don't want to fan the flames that upset you. I just wanted to say I thought you did a real good job on the TV show. I enjoyed your dance.
I question why Underdog should constantly be surrounded only by
church-going people.
Yeah, the people you think are doing the right thing. I thought he was a crime fighter and a righter of wrongs.
A superhero does a lot more than crime fighting. You might think of Batman as a crime fighter because that was the only way he's fostered. But consider also, because Underdog was patterned largely after Superman, he also had to embark on rescue missions and acts of goodwill. I stated that in the Hollywood Squares segment.
That's true. She did state that. I remember.
Well, then, don't you think it is an act of goodwill for there to be this little pocket of reason and sanity and morality in a sea of what you call debauchery?
Right. It's good that you were there. You represented the goodness of Underdog.
Because I was discouraged from ever venturing into that sea of debauchery. And now that I've been made to interact with it, that sea of debauchery had better clean itself out, or it's going to remain the mental pollutant that it is.
I see. Well, I'll tell you something. You've made some interesting points this morning, and I find you fascinating. I don't see anything wrong with that. I encourage our discussions.
Well,
don't shy away from them.
I think Underdog should continue
to wage this battle.
Well, now that he's stated his ground rules, the people concerned in question are going to have to take it from there. They must wise up, or else someday, if they persist the way they've always been, someday when they least expect it, they'll pay a heavy penalty.
But Underdog seems very, very uptight. Is Underdog against... Now, I don't think this is a wrong question, and if it is, you tell me. Is Underdog against all sexual activity?
That is the wrong question, because that is something he was never made to discuss anywhere.
Right, so in other words, so Underdog hasn't even thought about it. In other words, if Underdog...
Why should he be made to confront it? Because that's how a lot of the fictional villains entrapped him. They would do something that would arouse Underdog's attention, and then he would come to remedy the situation, and they would entrap him and make him look an idiot.
Well,
even though he got himself free somehow or other, just his becoming entrapped in the first place questioned his role model as a hero.
Robin had a question.
If he was patterned after Superman.
Right.
Superman had
Lois Lane,
a girlfriend. He had...
Well, Underdog had a girlfriend,
Lana Lang and Lois Lane. Underdog had a girlfriend.
And in the Superman movie, Underdog had sexual activities in the, what do you call it, in the that igloo that he lived in, up in Alaska.
Well, Superman.
Yes.
Yeah, you said Underdog did it.
No, not Underdog. I mean, Superman.
So, therefore... I would extrapolate that Underdog has thought about sex.
No, he hasn't.
Although Miss Polly was his girlfriend, right?
That's right. Polly was his girlfriend, but he did not did not go that far. All he was concerned about was getting her out of trouble and then going away.
So he had an infatuation with her, but not a sexual relationship.
Exactly. He was strictly platonic.
I believe it's platonic. I think.
No, platonic.
Really? It's platonic.
I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is that he never, like you said, he was concerned about her welfare and not getting intimate with her.
I see. So you're claiming that Underdog was virginal in a sense.
Exactly. He was innocent.
Innocent. Okay, and there's one other question I have, because sometimes I don't know whether you're objecting to things as Underdog or as Susan.
Yeah, I'm always confused too. Like, if I ask Susan a question, I say, Susan, what about you? Do you have a boyfriend? But, like, in other words, we never know if we're talking to Susan or Underdog. Is Susan, like, against having a boyfriend, or is Underdog against having a boyfriend or girlfriend? You know what I'm saying? Where does one begin and where does one end?
You're asking me questions in terms of a character that I impersonate through dance. And I don't know why you choose to change 1 minute between discussion of
Underdog?
A characterization and discussion of my personal life. You're getting them mixed up.
No, I don't even want to know about your personal life. I'm saying, are you do you conduct your life as Underdog, or do you conduct your life as Susan?
I conduct it as Suzanne Muldowney.
Right.
Well, my question came up because during one point of our conversation here, you seemed to be upset about where Susan was. Susan was in this sea of...
Right.
You know, debauchery or whatever you call it, or evil or strange characters.
That's the term Howard used.
Okay, but Underdog goes into situations like that to rescue people and to provide a role model and to be a moral focus.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't understand why there was an objection to Underdog being on the show. I thought it was appropriate for him being on the show. So then I thought maybe Susan had an objection to being on the show.
Well, I think
yes, I did, because I didn't like. I was very displeased with. Well, to some extent, the nature of the other panelists and also the questions that were asked of them, because, like I said, they exemplified the worst of human vices.
I see. Well, listen, you got to keep in mind,
and that's the kind of stuff that really is inappropriate to expose on television, especially since the show is syndicated nationwide. You're setting an example for the whole country.
Thank you.
So that's another reason to consider cleaning up your act in the long run.
Well, there it is. Susan has answered our questions, Robin.
I guess, but I don't know who's making a declaration and warning us, Underdog or Susan.
Both.
We'll consider it both when you consider how some performers or other guests you may have had in the past have specialties.
I see. Well, anyway, let me say, Susan, that of course
Suzanne.
What?
It's not Susan. It's Suzanne.
Suzanne. I understand you also do other characters. Is that true?
Yes.
You do Underdog as well as who else?
Well, we've mentioned Superman sometimes. I don't do Superman per se, but I do his equally powered girl cousin, Supergirl.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
I was not aware of that. Who else?
Well, sometimes I've done Rod the Impaler, otherwise known as Dracula.
Really? Now, Dracula should appear on our show because Dracula...
No, he is much too stark. In fact, if you read about, the usual antics to which I found so objectionable as Dracula, I would have the right to make a shish kebab out of you, because that's how he executed the wrongdoers of his time.
Dracula was into executing wrongdoers.
No, he used to bite their necks.
Wrong. There's a whole other side to Dracula that has been grossly shortchanged or submerged altogether.
But to me, it seems logical that Dracula would fit right in with all those other characters. If you want a Dracula impersonator, get someone else, not me. Well, listen, I think it would be fun to see you in other roles, quite frankly. As a matter of fact, what I kept wondering was, will you be Underdog forever? Will you pass it on to your children one day, or will you, will you always carry on the Underdog name?
Well, just as long as I'm in physical health to go around making appearances. But there are some other characterizations I do. Some of which, they really don't have definitive names. I would do them mostly for parades like well, mostly Halloween, but also something else. Well, they don't lend themselves necessarily to dance, but they just have nice costumes. I could be a bride or a black or white queen from chess, a medieval princess, an angel, a fairy.
I want to see her as Vlad the Impaler, or as they say, Dracula. I didn't know Vlad the Impaler was Dracula.
Well, that's because there was his true side that has been shortchanged.
I see. Well, hey, how do you think I conducted myself? Did I do a good job?
Well, you did a better job once you had to be steered in another direction from the way you were going.
I see. Well, certainly we've learned a lot. I mean, I don't know much about you personally, but I certainly have learned a lot about your characters.
Well, if people want to contact you?
Well, then the best thing if people really want to contact me, then they should contact Channel 9 because
well, they can contact us here at the radio station, and we'll pass it on to you. Right?
Yes.
You sound upset by that. I don't know why.
Well, I was trying to say, you interrupted me, how Channel 9 called me yesterday saying the two people had been trying to contact me. Instead of their giving my phone number, they gave me the numbers of the callers so that I was able to
that's what we'll do. Well, that's what...
That worked for you, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so you see, you're getting offers from the show.
No, I'm not getting offers. One of the people that I followed up on, it was not an invitation to perform. It was just an old-time underdog fan.
Oh, I see.
That bothers you? You don't want to hear from fans?
Hey,
it's nice, but you said how being exposed nationwide on a show like yours would help, but it didn't. Like
of course
I said,
it will.
It did not give me. It did not result in an influx of invitations to come out and perform.
It will. You just got to give it a chance. People have to come up with ideas.
That's what I said before. I was giving it a chance.
I know a car dealer. So
far the results were only negative.
I know a car dealer who wants you to appear for money.
Well, then he's going to have to leave his number or something else. Now, look, I'm sorry, but I have got to leave now.
Oh, a mission?
Well, sort of. I have.